The Emperor, His Horse, and the Clan, written by Gbola BALOGUN, Dublin, 2025. The Abozi Festival was the crown of the year, when drums rolled like thunder across the valley, and children painted their faces with ash and chalk. Men danced with spears, women sang with rattles. Palm oil glistened in calabashes, waiting to anoint the earth. It was then that the accident happened. An old woman, frail as drying raffia, stumbled in the procession. She fell, and her calabash cracked, spraying hot oil like molten rain onto the crowd. White garments were stained, painted masks blurred, and laughter rose in cruel ripples. Shame, sharper than her pain, pierced her bones. She left the festival ground without a word. By sunset, she had vanished from the village altogether. The news reached the Emperor. He was a man who wore power like armor, too proud to bend, too vain to allow even the shadow of mockery. Though the oil had not touched him, he felt mocked, as though the gods themselves had thrown her clumsy hands against his glory. Unbeknownst to many, he had an axe to grind with the old one. To him, her moves were too slow. Her knees did not bend in haste for the king's praises, and she was too odd a person to allow in the midst of a radiant and flamboyant clan. She will crawl back, he declared, or I shall grind her roof to dust. From that day, he mounted his horse each dawn. Together, they performed wild stamping dances before the woman's hut. With each routine, the horse's hooves tore at the earth, while the Emperor's spear chipped away at the roof. His vow was clear. He would not stop until she returned kneeling, begging, proclaiming his greatness before all. But fate, sly and watchful, had built a snare for him. The old woman's hut sat in the heart of the village nursery, a sanctuary of flowers, lush grass, and ancient trees. The nursery was no ordinary garden. It was the breath of the village, the place where newborns first touched soil, where marriages were blessed, and where elders told stories to the wind. To trample it was to wound the soul of the clan. And so, the people divided. The first kind rose early, marking the Emperor's footsteps, copying his dance, not from love, but from terror. Their bodies moved, but their spirits withered. The second kind peered from windows, silent watchers. They saw the Emperor's fury, the horse's elegance, but locked their lips. For them, after all, they were just ordinary members of the clan who minded their personal interests. They wouldn't upset anyone or be seen to be the source of confusion. The third kind cared little for the Emperor's pride, but deeply for the nursery. They mourned each hoofmark, as though it were a grave. The fourth kind, the Emperor's slaves and aides, clapped, cheered, and urged him on. To them, his madness was music, and his cruelty a crown. The horse himself was a riddle. His skin gleamed like polished ebony. His mane flowed like a river at dusk. He never opposed his master. Yet behind houses, he would peek through cracks, grin foolishly, whisper jokes, then trot away. When the elders approached the horse, begging, "Restrain him, noble horse. You who carry his weight, save the nursery." The horse only shook his head. "I am but a horse. My master and boss decides how I walk or dance." And with that, he returned to stamping on flowers. The elders realized their folly all along. They had always treated the horse with respect, love, and affection as though it was human. They always thought of it as a bona fide member of the clan. It is truly nothing but a horse, a good horse, who creaks behind huts, peeps through blinded windows, relays tales to his master. Yes, truly a horse, it is. The elders agreed between themselves. The elders then turned to the Emperor himself. 3 emissaries, each on his own, 1 woman and 2 men, each wearing a badge of honor. Honor not given but earned. Each one of those had helped shape the traditions of the clan. Each one was a witness to the marriage ceremony between the king's father and his mother. Each one of the elders, wrapped in humility, went to the Emperor's palace. They spoke of unity, of forgiveness, of the nursery's ancient dignity. But the emperor, swollen with arrogance, thundered, "The woman will crawl or the nursery will burn." Thus, fear spread like a disease. Neighbors suspected neighbors of betrayal. Conscience was sold for safety, and silence traded for silver. What was once a community became a market of hypocrisy. But the elders remembered. The nursery had stood long before the emperor was born. It would outlast him if it was defended. They resolved, the emperor may dance in his palace. He may trample his slaves, but he will not destroy what belongs to us all. When this word reached him, the emperor's pride erupted like a volcano. If he could not break the woman by the hut, then he would break the village itself. So by night, he crept with fire. One by one, cottages lit up like torches against the sky. Women screamed. Children fled. And still, he laughed. The horse reared, intoxicated by the flames, leaping higher and higher in manic joy. Then, destiny struck. The horse misstepped and fell into a deep ditch, hidden behind a burning cottage. Its scream pierced the night like a blade. The emperor, rushing to save his steed, caught fire on his own cloak. He fell, rolling, crying out, his arrogance dissolving into ash. Scorched and broken, he staggered from door to door, knocking, begging, "Help me, forgive me, I am your emperor." And the first door he touched creaked open. There stood the old woman. She had never left the village. The people wiser than their ruler had hidden her, fed her, sheltered her with forgiveness. Her eyes were calm, steady, and piercing. The emperor, once a god among men, fell to his knees before her, coughing on smoke, begging for what he had demanded from others. The village watched in silence as the balance shifted. Moral pride that tramples others will always stumble in its own fire. Power without wisdom destroys the very soil from which it grows. And sometimes, those who seem weakest in old woman, a silent community, carry the strength that humbles kings. Gbola, BALOGUN, Dublin 2025.